Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to your weekly dose of the ATV podcast. Here, joined by our newest member. It's gonna be like a new little crew. Joined by my boy Drew, but the newest member. If y'all saw the tweet the other day, my boy Big Shot Rob, having him on for the first full time as a show for us together. He helped me out a little bit, a couple weeks back, a couple months back, but now I got him finally on the brand with the team. A lot to unpack here, a lot going down. Obviously, the BaseVols and their SEC series. But Drew, Rob, it's the season that never ends. Football, early spring practice this Saturday. The orange and white game is already here.
Yep.
A lot to break down there with the first three scrimmages that happened there, and just a lot to discuss on the football side of things. But first off, we do our little round table. Drew, Rob, how you been in this thing called life?
Yeah, man, just surviving, just one day at a time. This baseball team's not really doing us a lot of favors at the moment, so that's been a bit of a struggle. But do have the orange and white game this Saturday. It's going to be exciting. Will be awesome to see Nico finally play in action, wearing the orange as well. And I think we're going to see a lot of good things with our wide receivers too. So a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of exciting news that we'll definitely have to talk about when it comes to basketball and some of the guys in the portal that we're looking at. But yeah, other than that, can't complain.
Yeah, man. Doing good over here, bro. Life's good, man. I'm just chilling, taking care of my son, kicking it with the wife, man. Just enjoying life, bro. I'm on an extended vacation right now, man. So I'm enjoying it.
Oh, for sure.
But
You talk about, the vacation, the wife, the little son. Rob, tell the viewers that don't really know you what they're kind of getting with you being on the crew.
Man, I'm just an honest dude, man. I'm a very blunt person. I tell you how I feel. Don't really care about your feelings. We can hash that out later. I don't really care though. But I think you just getting someone that's just honest and that I can take my orange sunglasses off and be honest and be real about, things going Tennessee, man. You got a lot of fans who just can't take those shades off and see everything Tennessee, man. But I see it from a broad perspective in all angles, man. So that's what you're getting with me, man.
Oh, man. That's the best thing about here at ATB, man. We're not insiders. We got sources or whatever. Everyone in the Vols, if you're a Vols fan, you have what we call sources. Like, you just care about it that much. But hey, at the same time, like, we don't claim to be the insiders. We just here to talk with like regular fans, regular people like us, have a common ground, common interest. I think Rob brings a perfect part of that because you can also have a crazy take and he'll come out here and give you another side of it that you didn't even look at. So definitely adding some of that to it, a lot of flavor. Can't wait to see what kind of unfolds there. But guys, we have a lot to talk about. I guess we can go ahead and get started. The first thing I wanted to mention, not baseball, not the football news. Let's go ahead and talk about the basketball thing, how it ended, because Vols, falling to FAU. We didn't cover that since the last time we did a show. Obviously, in the offseason there, the biggest thing though, the season's over with. You can't go back and change anything. The transfer portal, like you mentioned, Drew, you losing Olivier Camlaw, the notes and names floating all out there. What is kind of your approach with the basketball team, especially seeing that and the interest that he's not going to the NBA, that Arizona and Michigan have became factors, and seeing how other teams are coming to try to poach our players?
I mean, I don't really – it's hard to describe, like, what kind of feeling that I have with Kamala, essentially being gone for next season. I think we knew that he was going to leave, but it wasn't necessarily the fact that he was going to enter the portal and then go play one more season elsewhere. But he's been, in my opinion, one of the most frustrating players I've ever seen play for Tennessee, in the sense that, one night he'll have like what he had against Duke, against Texas, where just dropping 25, 30 points, just unstoppable. And then he's nowhere to be seen the very next game, or the next three games for that matter. So, but the thing is, they need to be able to go after and try to find a big man that can be able to have that experience and not necessarily be a starter, because I think you're going to have Adu wind up being that starter. And you got a Walker coming back, who I think is going to take a huge step next season. But you got to have someone that at least has that experience and be able to come off the bench. And that's the thing for us, man. I felt like last season we just didn't have a big guy that we could heavily rely on that could be able to get baskets for us. And especially we saw that in the FAU game too, where Urosh, Kamwa, Adu, Owaka didn't even see the floor. Just we couldn't find answers at all. And I think that's what we need to look after for us in this portal. I know that he's looking at a couple guys like that forward from Harvard, Chris Ledlum. He's averaging a little bit over 18 points a game. It's a battle between us and Indiana right now. I don't think that's necessarily a bad, prospect to look at, but we got to have some guys that need some size, and I believe he's only 6'8" or 6'9". So it's going to be hard to replace Kamwa, even as difficult, it was to watch him. I love, his career, but you got to be able to find another center, and you got to be able to get another point guard too. I mean, I can't. That's the two biggest priorities for this basketball team for this fall, and especially in this portal.
Yeah, man, I agree, and it's not even a given that Adu comes back for one. There's some rumors floating around that he might even leave. You know what I mean? And as far as the Kimwa, the rumors are floating that he's probably gonna play professional ball. He's not gonna stay in college. That's what the rumors are. But at the end of the day, you really never know. And I like Kimwa as a player, and Rick Barnes, spoke a lot about the potential that he had and what he could do. And at times he showed it, and at times he didn't. But at this level, man, it's hard to find that consistency that you're wanting to see. Like, they're not professional athletes. They're gonna have their ups and their downs, and you just gotta take the lumps with it, man. You gotta take it. You gotta enjoy the good, and you gotta embrace the bad, and you just gotta deal with it. It's all you can really do, man. Of course, it's frustrating as fans because we want to win every game. We want to see them play their best. We want to see, Tennessee on top in everything that they do. But it's just not realistic, at the collegiate level. And sometimes it's hard as a fan to have to, face that reality. But at the end of the day, you don't really have a choice. You have to.
I think, maybe, Rob, you might agree with this assessment or this viewpoint, though. It's I think the thing that was frustrating about Calm was, we knew that there was a talent there. We've seen it, handful of times. But he would go from, the highest highs of, getting a double-double against Texas, and literally no one can stop him, to scoring maybe 2 points against Mississippi State on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it was just such a dramatic, just polar opposites. I think if he had a little bit more consistency, where not even get 10 points, just get 8 or 9 points, 7 or 8, 9 rebounds, and just be somewhat effective, I think he probably would have had a better maybe viewpoint from the personal fans, eyes on how his career is portrayed here. Because he's a talented basketball player for sure. But, I mean, going back to what you said, though, I mean, there's not a lot of players out there, even players like Oscar Tshiebwe this year. I mean, he wasn't able to put the numbers like he did last year. And he even had games where he struggled offensively, too. So it's frustrating, though, for sure.
Definitely is.
Yeah. And, man, I didn't even mean to, open the show with basketball. Obviously, the Olivier news, that was just one thing. And then, all the rumors floating about the schools that he was, Zooming with or visiting and stuff like that, which I understand, weighing out through all your options. But just in general, no matter who it is on the roster, obviously his name is in the portal, but there's a lot of other guys that kind of have to figure out what they're going to do. Is Vescovi going to come back, or is he going to go overseas? Is BJ Edwards going to trust the process under Rick Barnes and, stay next year and grow? Or, is Julian Phillips going to do the same exact thing? Those two guys that were late additions to last year's class didn't get the most time on the court, but definitely had flashes, some good, some bad, of course. And it's just going to be kind of interesting to see what happens with Rick Barnes. Like you said, obviously the 2023 class that came in was really impressive. They're true freshmen. Like you mentioned, the forward up there and then the center at Western Kentucky, the Vols are interested in. It's going to be interesting to see which guys want to kind of buy in and, come and play when, especially you mentioned, Drew, guys that we already had that we thought were, on paper going to be star studs this year that, only came and showed up, a couple games of the season. Are these transfers going to be better? Are they going to be guys you can kind of plug and play? There's a lot to look for, Rick Barnes and this staff and the continuity of the staff to try to, improve and go farther in the tournament, because obviously we love the regular seasons, but, when he's talking about making a run like FAU or making a run like someone else playing physical ball, and you see someone else make it that far with the same blueprint you run with in the tournament, it kind of just wants you to do whatever it takes to get there. And it comes with everybody, if it's, the staff, NIL, coaching, the university, whatever. But obviously basketball, just wanted to get that out the way because it was so recent and we had so much fun in March, danced all the way to the Sweet 16, and we were just so close, man. We were talking about how close we were going to be and coming back to the next episode. And I know we were gone for 3 weeks, so I wanted to get that out the way. And it's hard to, watch the rest of the tournament or go to April not thinking about March Madness and what was just happening. But then you got Josh Heupel in year 3. You got, Nico having his first spring, the present right now with Joe Milton, and the future of Nico you're going to see on Saturday. I wanted to dive into that. Happy thoughts, the spring game. Obviously, there's a lot of positions to look at. My favorite are going to be the wide receivers, the linebackers, and the edge rushers, just to see how much they've grown. But I'm going to spin it a little bit. What's one thing that you want to see that you're not the most hype about? I'm going to say the safeties and maybe the offensive line at guard. But I don't know about y'all.
I mean, I would probably say our running back room more than anything else, just because we've heard so many great things. I mean, about Cam Seldon, Deshaun Bishop too from Carnes as well, that he's had a pretty good spring practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really looking at that roster and seeing that we have appears like 3, 4, even 5 guys that we can really rely on. And you're going to see a lot of them, like Bishop especially, be able to get those reps and everything. I think it's going to be exciting, and we could really be able to see what we've heard all spring is like how good, how much of an impact that those 2 freshmen especially have made already. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest come this fall if you're going to see both of them. I think you'll see Cam Seldon on the field one way or another, whether if it's a running back or if it's at special teams or even wide receiver. But I wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Bishop, if he continues at this rate, to be able to get a couple, 3, 4 carries a game for sure.
And he's a PWO.
Mm-hmm.
We got him as a walk-on in the final day of the class. Like, that's just, a guy that obviously he had, his negatives on the field at Carnes, the moments, going through handshake lines after games and stuff like that. But let's not act like this kid didn't have 5,000 yards. Like, yeah, he played for Carnes. I understand that. But he was a back-to-back Mr. Football in the state of Tennessee. This guy is now behind, way better talent than he has experienced his middle and high school, careers. And I just think it's a guy that if you have the tools as like a certain back, like he's going to go in here as the perfect Josh Heupel running back, be able to, make a wrong play and, not get yards. He's going to go and get ready just to go to the next play and probably burst off the scene. That's a guy that has a lot of potential and, something that, it's not going to affect you if he doesn't pan out to be like I said, he's on a PWO, but it's just ridiculous, man. I think this offense is going to be something that the whole nation is watching on Saturday.
I can tell you right now, bro. Call me crazy if you want to, but I'm telling you right now, Deshaun Bishop is probably the most underrated player in this class coming in. He is a PWO, but you just don't throw in the back of your mind that the man ran for 5,000 yards, bro. It don't matter what level he played in. Tennessee done got the best high school football, but it's decent. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. The man was, like you said, back to back. Mr.
Yeah, that's not easy
football in state Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a steal, and I think that he will be one of the better players coming in this class. And I think he's a little bit misevaluated because of how he is off the field. But the thing is, I haven't really heard anything negative. I just heard that he's just a quiet person. He doesn't talk to anyone. So because he doesn't really talk to people, he has like this bad vibe. But that's not a reason to give someone a bad vibe or say they have off the field issues or whatever because they don't talk to people. So I think he's just misevaluated and misunderstood, and I think he's a steal.
Oh, for sure. And, obviously, guys that are not getting noticed on the defensive side of the ball, man, I want to see, Gabe Judy-Lally get his first reps. You got Keenan Pili. But one thing I really fell in love with lately was the Ball Confidential, watching the series on Caleb and Elijah Herring. Caleb Herring, I am really super high on him, not because of how cool he was with me in his recruitment, collaborating with on the commitment post. Seeing him mentally take all those steps and it's going to be hard, understanding mentally and all the reps at the next level in the college ball and how he's going to switch from the edge to a linebacker in this level of ball. But I think once he understands the fundamentals and the right verbiage that's being used at this level, football is all the same. And this staff, they already see he's already up to 225 from 205, absolutely changing his body. And the way that Elijah changed going over in his first year to going to sophomore year so far in the weight room, I just think that's going to be a guy at the edge room, especially, that's going to be able to get a lot of looks. That room is so stacked for me. I want to see how James Pierce and Joshua Joseph have grown. I want to see how Tyree West has, slimmed down a little bit and is going to be on the outside a lot more. I think the edge room, even though we lost Byron Young and a lot of loss to that firepower on that side, I think it's not going to take not going to take a miss or a hit. I'm really excited about that. And then especially the linebacker room, man. Jeremiah Thielander, obviously the transfer Keenan Pili, Aaron Beasley coming in his own. You had guys like Caleb Perry, Elijah Herring, guys that, you didn't really hear about last year, but have the fundamentals and every single skill set of playing every position on the field in their high school careers that have now learned that one position. And I just want to see how that room has come a long way, because I think you're going to see a lot of flashes from guys that you didn't even know, their name. Obviously you knew they were on the roster, but when I tell you that, Danico Slaughter is going to be that dog, Keenan Pili and Aaron Beasley, a lot of names that are going to come in here and contribute. You're going to be like, well, dang, where was that? Where was all this a couple of years ago? They've been these players, man. They're getting coached the right way, and I'm just kind of excited to see that.
I keep hearing Arion Carter's name, bro. I just keep hearing it every single day. I hear Arion Carter's name every single day. That's the name I just keep hearing and keep hearing and keep hearing. I cannot wait to see what this kid's gonna do because, I mean, yeah, there's Nico. Everyone knows that Nico has all the hype, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But Arion Carter, bro,
there's a
I
reason
keep
that
hearing
they came
his
to that
name,
school,
bro. I keep hearing his name, bro. And the way his recruitment went down, the way Nick Saban did what he did, trying to get him to come to Alabama, tells you how good of a linebacker this kid is and how good he's really gonna be. Because Nick Saban pulled out every single stop he had to get the kid, and he still came to Tennessee.
I mean, that's like what Brando and I said about a month ago. It's like
Man.
when you have your assistants flying in helicopters to your high school, begging you to sign with Alabama before signing day, like that, I think that speaks in itself on like how bad they want him and B, how much they valued on this prospect.
I think that's why Pete Golding went to Ole Miss because Nick Saban was pissed that he lost that recruiting battle. I think so. I really think Nick Saban was that pissed off about Arion Carter that he was like, go to Ole Miss, bro. I don't want you here no more.
It also didn't help that, he allowed Jalen Hyatt to score 5 touchdowns in the 3rd October too. So
on the field,
it don't matter who the defensive coordinator was that day. Jalen Hyatt was going for 5 regardless. It didn't matter. There was nothing you could do to cover Jalen Hyatt that day.
While we're on the topic, I just wanted to say, like, we're on the topic of, the orange and white game, talking about Jalen Hyatt. Looking at the wide receiver room, man, like the one thing that's hardest for me is deciding who's going to be the best wide receiver in that room. Because in my opinion, Ramel Keaton is like secretly the best all-around wide receiver in our room. But then you have Squirrel, who had his Orange Bowl performance. He had Brew McCoy burst on the scene from the Florida, the Bama game, and then the Clemson game. He's dealing with an injury, but he's going to be good to go. You got Nathan Leacock, you got Chaz Nimrod and Caleb Webb, who have blown up at practice. Like the reps and videos that I'm seeing of how they run routes is just so crisp. And that puts a lot of note on, Kelsey Pope and the job he's doing over there. But I really can't decide like who's going to see the field in that room, because I feel like those sophomores at the same time, like it's night and day, Chaz Nimrod and Caleb Perry. And I know it's going to be contributions everywhere, special teams, kick return, punt return for those guys as well. But I feel like they kind of have to find their way on the field also in like out of conference games. And I can't wait to see that in the second half of the orange and white game after, all those guys get their reps. I just think that a lot of these rooms offensively and defensively are so stacked. And there's like so many positions to be hyped about that, like, I'm trying to think of the ones that like I'm negative about. And even the ones I'm negative about, I'm not fully negative about. It's just, needs some work.
It's a good problem to have. It's a problem
is.
that Tennessee has not had in a long time. And it's a problem that I can promise you Josh Heupel's never had in his career. I can guarantee he's never had this problem before, but it's the best problem you could possibly have. The issue is going to be trying to keep these kids, because nowadays with this transfer portal, it's just hard to know if kids are going to stay around and do their time and come and play. Like Ramel Keaton is the perfect example of it. Ramel Keaton has been here, going on 5 years. Yeah, and he's played his part. He's waited his time. You know what I'm saying? And every time his number's called, he's done nothing but deliver. Ramel Keaton, to me, was 100% the X factor of this season, outside of Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt. You know what I'm saying? Like Hendon, yeah, he did his thing. Hyatt did his thing. But Ramel Keaton really showed me something this year, and I think that he will reap the positive benefit of it this next season coming up. I really do. But I'm also excited for Dante Thornton and Squirrel White. So
I think we're also forgetting too, though. I mean, like, we got Brew McCoy coming back as well. Like, this wide receiver room is it's so stacked, and especially a lot of positions to include running back. I mean, think about 5 or 6 years ago under Pruitt when we had running back, for example, Ty Chandler, Jeremy Banks, by the way, who played at running back too, and a couple other guys as well that no one even really remembered. Eric Gray, he was 19 and 20, but even the later those Bush Jones years, like, we just did not have this much talent and depth. And I think a lot of people are worried about them transferring the portal, but you got programs like Georgia, for example, where they maintain that talent. I mean, Georgia's got 3 guys that are 5-star quarterbacks in their roster right now, and 2 of them are not going to play next season. So I think it's just a lot of guys that are bought into the program. There's a different type of culture that we have not seen in a very long time over here. And it just seems like everyone is bought in, even if it means that they have to wait 2 or 3 years to get that opportunity. They're willing to do that, because once they get that opportunity, they're going to flourish. So It's exciting. I'm telling you, though, if there's one guy, in my opinion, where they're not going to be able to get off the field as far as wideout goes, it has to be Squirrel White. I mean, one way or another, they're going to find a way to make sure that he's on that field almost 95% of the time on offense.
Definitely. You have to.
I think that's really a good comment, about Rob talking about Tennessee fans. One, we've never been able to have that criticism of good criticism and not going all hell out, breaking loose. And especially Josh Heupel at UCF, like the talent that he has here compared to there, of course, is night and day. But what he was able to do there and, build that talent there, and now coming here where he's recruiting the top of the guys, top 10 class last year, working on that this year, being able to go into the portal and kind of pull those guys out. Like y'all said, it's like a new day and age. Where one, you're convincing guys, from other universities to come into you via transfer portal, but bringing in that 2023 class, having all those guys early enrollees, seeing the practice field, playing huge roles at spring practice. I can't think of one that we were super happy about, that I haven't heard his name about. It's everywhere from QB to DB, Ricky Gibson, Jordan Matthews, all those guys. Super happy about them. And then you look at the 2024 class who had 3 commitments last week. Thing has no signs of slowing down. They're just building and building and building. And you compared it to Georgia, if you keep building these classes, add through the portal, keep putting your system out there, man. It only takes a couple more seasons before this is an every year thing where you can build it into a program as long as you keep up. And I truly do see that. I wanted to change back a little bit. We're talking about all the things we're really hype about. I talked about things that I'm kind of not looking forward to. I want to see more of, including the safety room, the offensive guard room. I want to get y'all's opinions. For me, the safety room, losing a guy like Trayvon Flowers, didn't really add anyone in the portal at safety yet. I think we're going to see that. I got to mention, after spring practice, we're going to go back in there, see what they really need. For me, that would be a position you're losing Trayvon Flowers, added a lot of freshmen. I just think that, you want to have another guy that's going to be able to step up and maybe come in and take reps like Wesley Walker was last year, or have another guy offensive guard to have that kind of extra body just on the line after losing, Darnell Wright and others. I just, want to be able to be secure there and be able to have the most protection for Joe, but also be able to have a leader on defense when the linebackers aren't there.
I mean, we got to see improvement from the secondary because that was our kryptonite last fall. I mean, had we had not even a good secondary, just a dang average, that team was in the college football playoff last season. And quite honestly, they probably would have been in the national title game. I don't know if anyone really could have stopped them, maybe besides Georgia. But we have to see some improvement from the secondary. Now, you got to remind me, I don't know if Christian Charles, is he still on the team?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, he's shown glimpses from a couple of years ago when he did play that, he could be able to play a decent role in that position. And I'm hoping everything with Danico Slaughter because, I mean, I've been here and I feel like for years that this kid's going to be, the next good thing for us in the secondary. So, we got to have some improvement over there. I mean, worst case scenario, just even put out some of the freshmen out there and just see what they can do, what they can contribute. I mean, it can't get any worse than last year. It can't. It's not possible. So you got nothing to lose, especially when you're starting off the season with Virginia as well. So that's the one thing I'd like to see at least.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm really hyped about the additions of, Jack Luttrell, John Slaughter, especially, all in that safety room, losing Sylvester late in that cycle hurt, but I think they have the chance to see what they kind of wanted to figure out now in spring practice, go and add maybe 1 or 2 guys there and just go all around, man, because, I'm not the coach. I'm not the staff. They know what they need, but I've been having thoughts late at night, I have the sky as the limit for this team, but I'm not going to sit there and act like oh, we lost Jerry Banks or Juwan Mitchell or a lot of guys on defense that had a lot of production. Even when they had head cases with their relationship and mental aspect of the game, they were out there a lot, experienced guys, 4-year, 5-year guys. And you're going to be putting a lot of that pressure on new guys, which they've done such a good job via portal bringing guys in that are experienced and, being able to coach them up. But at the same time, I look at a lot of pieces that just aren't there, including special teams. Who are they going to rely on? Who's going to be the new Jimmy Holiday and Jimmy Callaway that's going to step up and earn their spots and be those special team dogs? I just think about that, man. A lot of guys touch the field a lot are off this team now. They've moved on to other places or going to the league. And it's just a lot to think about. Heupel having his first real approach on the program, having other people's guys, and now his 2 classes under his belt. This third one, looking like a top 5 class. This is a huge year for not only Josh Heupel but the future of this football team as well.
Yeah, man. It's always gonna be secondary, man. It's always gonna be that. I just say we just gonna have to see how it plays out, man. I think Hype knows that. I think they're attacking it the best way they can, and I think they want to fix that problem. So we just gotta let it play out. We just gotta remember he's only been here 2 years.
For sure.
This
Yeah,
is,
I mean,
but having a season like last season is definitely going to be tough on this season because people are going to want more or expect, the same. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a challenge, but I think Hype knows that. I think he embraces it. I think he loves it, and I think he's ready for that. You know what I mean? As far as the offensive line goes, that's a hit or miss as well, bro. Just gotta see how it is, how it goes. I think John Campbell is a good addition. I think Mincy swapped to the other side. I think Darnell told him, "You're better on the other side. You need to play over here." And I think Mincy has embraced that. And I think Coach Ellaby will kind of bond with him how he did with Darnell Wright. Like, because when Ellaby got here, him and Darnell's relationship just is really, one of the reasons why Darnell became the player that he did. And I think if Mincy takes that same approach, it could be the same way with those two, man. So you just got to embrace it and go all in. Basically what Danico Slaughter's doing at cornerback right now. They said he's finally embraced the cornerback position. He's going to stick with it. He's going to play it. So if he's locked in 100%, ain't no telling what he's going to do this next season coming up, man. But I'm excited to see it. I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
It's easy, to like look at the 2023 class and understand that this staff has an understanding of the defensive side of the ball. Like, they went all in on there, and we didn't even mention like the defensive line recruits that Rodney Garner brought in on that side as well. Like, they went all in on defensive recruiting in last year's class. Going to the offensive line, I agree with you. John Campbell, a 6-year guy from Miami, the kind of experience you need that we're talking about. Andre Keurig, I want to see how he, plays in the transfer from Texas, because he's a guy that, could play tackle, guard. They were even talking about him playing some tight end and, packages and stuff like that. So to see if he can go over there and, switch to guard, whatever they think is best, whatever fits best, having a guy like that in your back pocket is, huge in general. One of the sleepers I think that a lot of people aren't going to think about, but are going to see on the field a ton. And just all around, man, I think it's just building it. Like you said, it's a blueprint. It's a lot to look forward to now, what they're building now in this 2023 class. We're going to see Heupel's first real blueprint with his guys. I feel like this orange and white game last year, we didn't have an orange and white game. I think the fans are going to show up. I think it's going to be a really crazy environment for a 2:30 p.m. Saturday for the orange and white. I think the lower bowl is probably going to be like almost completely filled, if I'm being real. And I'm just excited to see it, man. I think a party after going 10-2, you want to go out there and have another good year. And if you can have a second good year like in a row, that just proves it's like not luck. It's not a hyperbole. Like, you're going out here and trying to bring this program back to one of the greatest programs in college football.
I mean, I think this team has the talent to do everything that they did last season, if not even go further. Like, the talent is there. Like, if Joe Milton can figure it out and be able on a consistent level to be able to throw like he did against Clemson, there's not a lot of games that we're going to lose next fall. There's not. I mean, the only piece or the only area that where I'm a little bit concerned is that right side of the offensive line. And that's because, in my opinion, Darnell Wright was the best player that we had on that roster last year. There's a lot of guys where they were very good, like Hendon Hooker, Jalen Wright, that were replaceable, but Darnell Wright's not. And we're going to have to find someone to be able to step up in that position. Now, you can't expect, whether it's Mincy or whomever, to be able to put out performances like Darnell Wright. But if you could be able to at least buy enough time for Joe or Nico, whoever's playing at quarterback at any point of the season, that's going to give us plenty of opportunities to be able to drive it down the field. And I think just from a wide receiver perspective, too, I would argue actually this might even be more talented than it was last season as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Just because we're more well-established on what we have. And plus with the additions of Dante Thornton and Bree coming back as a huge level of experience especially. But this team can go as far as they want to. Like, I think this team could easily win 10 games. They could maybe even somehow win 11. Like, the only game I think for sure, in my opinion, where I think is notched as a guaranteed loss, I mean, people are not going to like it, is Georgia. Like, I think Georgia's the only game, in my opinion, where I think is a guaranteed loss. I just don't think we're there yet. We're still a couple of years away from that. But, like, Alabama on the road, Florida on the road, we have no fucking excuse. We don't win that game, we're never going to win the Swamp either. But this team could win 10, 11 games. They really can. The talent's there.
I mean,
well, Joe has to work on his pocket presence, for one thing. I think he figured it out throwing the ball. he looks like he's figured it out, but if his pocket presence does not get better, it's going to be a long season for Tennessee, because Hendon Hooker made very, very quick decisions, and once he realized that okay, I ain't got this, I ain't got that. I'm out of here. I'm gonna run. Like Joe can figure that part out. Tennessee will be all right. But if Joe doesn't figure that out, it's gonna be a tough season in Tennessee because I think they want to redshirt Nico. I don't think they want him to, take over. I really don't. And rumors are also saying that Nico is content waiting his time, sitting back 1 year, learning, and then coming in and ready to do his thing. But if Joe, doesn't figure it out, Nico might have to step in, and I hate to say that, but it just is what it is. It's a possibility, So we got to see how it goes.
You can't have games, like that scrimmage the other day where people were talking about, how Nico was looking, crazy good, living up to the hype. And then there was a few passes where people weren't happy about with Joe. I think definitely it comes, like you said, the pocket presence and also how good the offensive line is, because how good that O-line was last year, being able to open up this offense a lot more with the option game, having Hendon run all over, having the backs with Jalen Wright and, Jabari Small being able to get 5-6 yard gains, being able to confuse defenses. That's going to be key with making sure this offense keeps going and keeps rolling. Heupel now, 5 top 8 offenses in his tenure. I don't expect that to slow down. The guy lives, breathes, and eats offense. But I definitely think if you can allow Joe to be on his feet and run freely like we kind of saw last year against Pitt, or 2 years ago against Pitt, before he lost the job to Hendon, man, like that guy has wheels. Just seeing the flashes in the Clemson game, being able to find Ramel Keaton in the end zone wide open, being able to read that kind of stuff and just flick his wrist, for 60 yards to squirrel. He definitely was able to read that kind of stuff. But now you're without Darnell Wright, a guy that went and stayed and played in that bowl game. Just to kind of think about all that stuff, man, it's going to be obviously a lot to look forward to. Heck, it's September 2nd for kickoff, and it's April 12th now, and we're already talking about that. So a lot for them to figure out themselves and kind of fix. But, man, like we said, this season goes all year long, man. And I'm thinking about September 2nd, that night in Nissan Stadium against Virginia. I just feel like he's going to come out there and light it up, man. I agree with Rob, the whole Nico thing that they want.
I wouldn't get too excited about that game being a night game, by the way. That game has 3:30 written all over it.
It's going to be a night game in Nashville.
Bro, no way. There's no way. It's not even that good of a game. It's not even that good of a game.
Okay. We played Bowling Green at night. We played Akron at night, Drew.
On Thursdays. Thursdays, we played Bowling Green at night because we were going to play Saturday at noon, had we not.
And you think the SEC network isn't foaming out the mouth right now that Tennessee-Virginia night game to open this season? I don't know what to tell you about it.
It's not a big game.
Look, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna say this, and then we can move on. Nico is running with the twos, okay? And what you keep hearing out of camp is, wow, Nico looks really good. Wow, Nico's kind of looking better than Joe. Yeah, it's Joe's job, but Nico is looking better than him. Joe missed this throw. Joe missed that throw. But Nico, he's looking really, really good. Well, I'm going to say this, and like I said, I'm going to move on. Nico's running with the twos, and he's apparently looking better than Joe, and Joe's running with the ones. You got your answer. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Rob is adamant about the fact that come September 2nd in Nashville, that number 12 is going to be rolling out on the field, ready to sling it with that $8 million price tag.
No, that is not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. I never said that, and I will not say that. What I'm saying is if Nico is running with the twos and he is somehow looking better than Joe, you have your answer about how this season is about to go. That's what I'm saying.
And shame on me for introducing the price tag part, because it's not about the price tag, but I think he's just an overall, like, a year one, like we've said it all the time, right? Who would you rather have making mistakes as a quarterback?
Look, I don't deny the fact that Nico is not a talented quarterback. In fact, he's one of the most talented QB prospects that we've had in this program's history. Easily the most talented since Peyton Manning, in my opinion. But I'm not going to buy into the stock because of what he looked like in practice. Because, I mean, there's been plenty of guys where they look like shit in practice, but they're much better off, in-game decisions than as opposed vice versa. Who knows? Like, not even like Hendon Hooker, but like Josh
They did not let Hendon Hooker run for the first 2 months that he was a Tennessee Vol under Heupel. When they figured out that he was a gamer and could run, and they put him in that Pitt game, like they brought out a whole new side that they haven't seen.
I know that, but what I'm saying is it wasn't Hooker's fault like that though.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, I think Joe Milton is going to be our guy. I think he's going to take that next step. If he figures out, like what Rob says, the pocket passing, the pocket pressure and everything like that, he's going to be a first round pick. Like, he has the talent to be Anthony.
I think right now he's doing all the right things, and there's nothing better that he can do going into next season. But I'm just saying, before this season starts, we're going to see all the events come out of what they did with Hendon leading up to the season. You're going to see Joe go to New York to the stock market, take a teammate there. You're going to see him have fun. You're going to see him do all these things, get the publicity, be Tennessee's QB1 again, and have that kind of rundown going into the season. How does he handle it going off and on the field, being that kind of leader? I think he is more of a leader now than when he stepped on the field, and that has to do a lot with Hendon Hooker and how he kind of polished him. Yeah. How can he lead a team now that Hendon Hooker is gone, though? How is Joe going to be the guy without having someone to mentor him? Josh Heupel is, letting him break down all the huddles, let him do all this thing, be the leader. But at the same time, you got that guy behind your back. You have the future behind your back, and everyone knows it. And this is your team right now. This is your team to run, your team to lead. We just got to see it. And I truly don't want to see, a guy have to be thrown in there quicker than he has to. But I would definitely don't want to see a completely different Joe than I saw on December 30th when I was blacked out with Alex in Miami. So as long as you see that same guy, I mean, there's no way we don't win 10 to 11 games, Drew. Like, I'm completely on the wavelength with you, and that's kind of crazy for the guy that predicted, 7-8 wins last year. Both talking about 11-2 before our official predictions, but it's just, I mean, it's realistic. I think this team doesn't have any bad ball spots where they're going to go out there and fall flat on their face.
I want Joe to succeed, man. I don't want to make it sound like I'm hoping Nico gets it over him. I want Joe to succeed. I want him to be great. I know he can do it. I think he can do it. You know what I'm saying? I think hype will get him there. All I'm saying is there's just a lot of hype with the man right behind him, and he has to keep that job because someone is nipping at your heels. That's all I'm saying. I hope that makes him go harder. I hope that makes him be like, man, like, I got this, bro. Like, I'm finna lead us to this chip. That's what I want to do. Like, that's what I want to see. You can talk about it all day, man, but I want to see it, bro. I want to see it.
I want real championships and not Orange Bowl. I love the Orange Bowl championships. I know we're going to get rings. We're going to be able to celebrate that. New Year's Six Bowl, prime time on a Friday. That was amazing. It was great being there. I want to be on that stage that we were supposed to be last year. Like, I want guys not stepping on power tees. I want guys locked in. I want them playing at their best ability. I want the chemistry to be the best it can be. I know it's a lot to ask for from these coaches, a lot to ask from these.
You did not have to say that. You did not have to say that, bro.
Welcome to the ATV brand where the most extra non-important shit is said for no reason. I mean, you should have heard me about Brandon Miller, but I think we're all agreeing on the same page here. Like, it just.
The future of Tennessee football is great. Like, it's promising. It's exciting. We know what we're going to get the next 3 or 4 years, and we're going to get some of the best football that we've seen in the last 30, 40 years. And you can't really necessarily say that with a lot of the other programs, in my opinion, especially basketball at the moment. So I think we're going to be fine. I don't think there's too much to worry about. These are good things to worry about, like whether he's going to be our quarterback. It's not like 2013 where Justin Worley or Nathan Peterman or Josh Dobbs,
the bull, or
two guys that are real legit potential NFL talents that have the potential to be an all-SEC, all-American quarterback. But
Drew,
I think before it's said and done, that the quarterback in the 24 class that's committed, I think he will be a 5-star before it's said and done.
For sure. Jake Merklinger is that guy.
That guy is a dog, okay? He is a athlete, and he can do it all, bro. I am excited to see him as well, and I love the fact that he is not running from competition, bro. I love that so much.
Let's go ahead and plan that out, because obviously Georgia got their crystal ball for the number one guy, Dylan Raiola or whatever. But the best quarterback in Georgia is arguably Jake Merklinger, a guy that committed over to Tennessee over Georgia. And I just want to go ahead and look at that 2024 class, because I know it's till next May. A lot that can happen until then, going up to that class. But man, like, you have 4 of your 8 recruits that are top 150, players in the country. Not even mentioning the fact that Tennessee, who their targets are in the rest of this class, absolutely ridiculous. Edwin Spillman, Boo Carter still out there, 5-star, number 1 player in the state of Alabama. Jordan Ross, edge rusher, heavily, looking at Tennessee and Alabama. A lot of guys that Tennessee can go into their state, walk in your trap, take over your trap. I mean, hey, look at, Gage Ginther, that the Vols went into Colorado and took the number 1 player in the state of Colorado on the offensive line, getting their big offensive line there. A guy that's definitely going to be another 4-star.
Who will get bumped to a 4-star for sure.
For sure.
Definitely.
Like, a guy that's going to add, 15, 20 more pounds and be coached by the best offensive line coach arguably in the nation. Like, look at that, man. The 2024 class, a lot to look at that. But like you mentioned with Jay, like just to see how they're kind of building in these classes, man, on top of that, getting kids in. And what I'm really most excited about this weekend is seeing those guys on campus riding the Gators, riding around campus, falling in love with Rocky Top. These kids are the same exact kids that are maybe you're 16, 17 years old now, going to be changing the future in Knoxville. And to see the possibility, looking at this class right now, the guys that are leaning towards Tennessee, a top 5 class, heck, even top 3, like there's a top 5, and then there's the rest of the top 25 in college football recruiting. If you get that top 5 class, you're arguably getting one of the best classes, in decades. So I think it's, can't be stressed enough how important it is and how much people are taking notice, man. Just looking forward to that. I would not be surprised. I'm going to say this without saying names. I would not be surprised if this month of April, going into the end of April and the start of May, isn't the best for Tennessee football recruiting that we've seen in years. And I'll just leave it at that. It is absolutely crazy, and it all starts this weekend on 2:30.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Man, if you go into the 2024 class and take the number 1 player in the state of Alabama after what you did last year, like in that 2023 class, going to people's states, it would just be the most.
Man.
I know it's gonna be a hard pull,
boy.
But man, top 10 player, like it's just crazy when you look at the 2022 or 2021 recruiting class, right? And
he could do what Buddy did in Clemson. He could do it. He could do it. Ross really did. Ross decommitted from Alabama and went to Clemson.
I can see it. I think that would be like a huge pull to the edge room. But man, the offensive line getting solidified there. I wouldn't be surprised to see another addition to that room after this weekend. Daniel Calhoun, top 10 offensive tackle, coming in for his official visit. He's been under all 3 of the offensive lineman commits from the last week under all their commit posts, showing love. Excited about his visit coming in. I would not be surprised to see that guy kind of just fall in love with that as well. And then Tennessee hosting 2 top 10 running backs, Peyton Lewis and Braylon Russell. I would not be surprised to see one of those guys hop in the boat. And I just think it's all kind of building together where you can look at a position group and be like, dang, that's a position group in need. And you're locking down a top 10 player at that position, man, no matter what position it is. And it's just kind of insane. A lot of it goes to what the Vol Club is doing over at the Vol Club through the Vol Club affiliate. Shout out to the Vol Club. But a lot of it also has to do with this staff. But, man, like I cannot stress enough how much Spire and the Vol Club is kind of sitting down, doing their part, helping these kids understand what kind of environment they're going to be stepping into in Knoxville and what their word is going to be. And a lot of that really does start with them. So I wanted to kind of give a little shout out to that in IL space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, having a, solidified NIL like Tennessee does with the Vol Club does wonders recruiting for us. I mean, and also, like Brando said, shout out to them, but not to try to do an advertisement for them, but we're going to do it anyway. Perfect opportunity for you to be able to play, have your impact on and off the field, and ensure that Tennessee continues to rise back to the top and be one of the best brands in college football all over again. You can become a member as little as $5, only $60 a year. 90% of your donation goes immediately to the players and helps ensure that Tennessee continues to what they do on and off the field right now. So it's a great club, great NIL. It's the best way to give back. I mean, and if you're a fan, there's no reason why not to join this, I mean, so shout out to them, shout out to Spire and Heupel and the boys too. I mean, those 3 all together have done strides for this program and bring us back from the dead, really.
Yeah. And if you're interested in that, just go to the little top right corner on the Twitter page, bottom, a couple suites down, the Vol Club link should be there in the bio. Definitely click that on our link. Help everybody, huge. All it takes is $5 a month, man. But I think if you get the $25 a month, like you get free gear every month. They're getting free photos, signed, photos from former players, free orange and white game tickets, raffles for like all this crazy stuff. But at the same time, yeah, you're investing in the UT athletics, but you're kind of getting more than what you pay for back. Like you're getting free koozies and everything. So they take care of you for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And you're doing it for the right cause. But who does not want to, I've always said, talk about it, be about it. I say it once on every single show. If you want to talk about it, be about it. We talked about it with Logan Quentin and $5 and what it meant, man. If you're in the stands there complaining about a player not being there or a guy not getting paid or something, not having their right tag or not being appreciated enough, put your money where your mouth is. Donate that little $5, man. $5, and we fill up 100,000 seats every week when we're in Knoxville, man. There's no reason why we should just now be hitting 2,500 members the other day. They're at 2,513, man. That number should be growing through the roof. And even at that low of a number, we're still one of the best collectives in the country. So the sky is the limit, man. I think Tennessee can really change and make their fucking footprint in this whole NIL thing, man. Like, it's just getting started. And you're going to see that go, especially with this class. Not only football, man, but the Vol Club shows love to every single Tennessee athletic. So just seeing that all around, having that kind of leadership, having those guys buy in, the boosters buy in, all that, huge, really important. One thing they kind of have, and I guess we'll kind of move on here, the Tennessee Vols baseball team. A lot of guys that could be using a lot more support. Drew, Rob, I know we're not going to cover baseball long, but really good bounce back win yesterday against Eastern Kentucky. My take is, and I want to get y'all's take, I'm not giving up on this team. I've seen so many good flashes on this team. I think that, in this conference play, every single team, like we talked about buying in, every single SEC team has bought in to their baseball program. And you're seeing that, on the diamond here lately. Obviously losing the series to LSU, losing the series to Florida, winning both times on Sunday. I guess we have a thing for winning on Sunday where we just blow out these teams and have offensive tears. But it's given me enough, hope and wisdom to think that this team is definitely in it and going to get clicking at the right moment. What about y'all? What are y'all's kind of thoughts of kind of breaking this down? Because like everyone said, we have to understand it's not Drew Gilbert out there, not our boys out there, not Luke Lipsey's out there hitting dingers off the field every single at bat. This is the reality of what college baseball is going to be, and I think I can accept it. I think this is something not to be mad about.
Look, I mean, when you're losing 98% of the offense production from arguably the greatest college baseball team of all time, like, you're going to see a fallout. Like, you're going to see a drop down of, like, level of greatness for sure. This team has shown, though, without a doubt, that, like, they can be able to make a run and string up, a few wins and potentially make an NCAA tournament run. I think a lot of time we forget from last season, especially, is like that same Ole Miss team that we beat 12-13-0, 9-2 at their home. They won the national title that season. They were the last team to make the tournament, and they were awful in conference play. In fact, they were under 500. So I think you just have to go back and realize that SEC baseball, I mean, we talk about all the time about how SEC football is the best conference, by a mile in football, but baseball's another level. I mean, it's got 9 teams that are in the top 25. 5 of the top 6 teams are from the SEC alone. We've played every single top 5 team now as well currently, if Arkansas coming up. So you can't get too pissed off and like too redneck angry and fair get furious over the fact that we're losing these series, because these are really good baseball teams. Like LSU's a hell of a team. Florida's got a prospect that has been called the next, Shohei Ohtani, which even though I very much disagree with that, but they have talent where these are teams that are going to be College World Series contenders. So you can't hit the panic mode yet. My thing is like when we start playing these series against like Kentucky, Georgia, Mississippi State, those are series that we need to win 2 out of 3, if not sweep them as well. Because it's going to be tough for us against Arkansas this weekend, because that's a damn good baseball team on the road. And the next weekend after that, you got a red-hot Vanderbilt team that's coming to Knoxville. So, like, it's not going to get any easier anytime soon, plus playing South Carolina. But if you can manage to win those necessary key ones against those bottom-tier SEC opponents, which are still really good baseball teams, this team will be fine. They'll host a regional, and there's no doubt in my mind that they have the talent to be able to go on a run and potentially make another College World Series.
Man, I'm with you, man. I'm not freaking out. I'm not over here, doing backflips like, oh my God, it's over. Like, man, it's all right, man. It's baseball.
It's all over.
What people don't realize is this year's team is paying for last year's team. Mm-hmm. Last year's team was so disrespectful to everybody that they played, and every single team that they play hates them with a passion. So they're gonna get every team's best shot every night. I mean, you swept Florida at Florida last year. That's the first time they've been swept since like 2008. So of course they came into Knoxville and was like, "We finna put it back on you." You beat LSU in the SEC tournament last year, to go to the championship game or whatever. LSU, they was finna bring it. They know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, then you play Arizona at the beginning of the season. Oh my God, Chase Dolander is the best pitcher since you know who. Like, people hearing all this noise and they're like, okay, well, we got you. We finna bring it all we got. Right. So you're getting everybody's best shot every single game. every single night. And it's going to be like that for a while because last year's team was, one, that good, and two, they were that disrespectful. I mean, think about it. Florida was talking cash last week, and Tennessee was just taking it. They weren't saying anything bad. They weren't doing anything. They were just taking it. And that is exactly what they did to teams last year. So they're just getting it back.
They sent our meme back to us of Jordan Beck in the fucking Florida helmet. They sent that back to us, and I just couldn't say anything. Like, I had no words. And a lot of it has to do with, going around the bases, flicking them off, or the bat flips we had, or, having the energy and the swagger that a guy like Drew Gilbert had. But at the same time, you got to remember that these coaches hate Tony's guts, man. Arkansas, Missouri, Florida, he's going in, walking in your trap, taking over your trap. One, sweeping you, but also two, beating you in the recruiting trail, taking your talent, getting transfers. Let's not act like forget how this season started with Maui Ahana and who kind of making a big thing about that as the SEC coach, who we're going to see in about 2 weekends. It's just all around, man. It's not going to be easy for the Vols, especially doing what we did last year, losing 98% of your offense, like Drew said, and then going in there and having these studs. Now, this roster, you look at it, you see the players, you see them flash. When it all comes together, I think this is definitely a team that you're going to see down the line, go out there and play more complete baseball. But you're kind of just seeing it now, if it's the base running or if it's just one error where we're, one error is all it took against Florida for us to be down, six runs. Against LSU, we were up in the 8th inning, tie game there, and guess what happens? 5 runs, we give it up. If this team cannot break, like, you're playing baseball with everybody, and I think it takes, getting down and dirty in those dirty baseball games. You're not going to go out there and put up 16 runs on an SEC opponent every single time, not even often. So go out there, you're going to get in barn burners, but I think if win or lose, it's good experience. And like you said, not hitting the panic button, because I know down the line, these other series, it's making us more experienced, playing better talent before we get better for other SEC play. And I'm just kind of not ready to not buy in there.
Yeah, they'll be fine, man. They'll be fine.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, and I know a lot of people are freaking out, especially about our pitching, because there has been a drop-off for our pitching. There's no argument about that. But I would rather have guys like Dolander and Burns have these, like, growing pains as trying to find their third or fourth pitch that they're trying to, master at, and go through this right now early in the season here in March and April, than as opposed coming May, come towards conference tournament time and NCAA tournament time, that they still have these problems.
I'd rather than get 8 up now than like Leiter and Rocker in Knoxville a couple years back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so
Rocker got toasted by Mississippi State, boy. Toasted. That boy was tired. Mississippi State said, all right, watch this. Boy, they was cracking him. Wait. That was so good to watch. I love that.
I do have a question for both of y'all, though. So,
what's up, brother?
I might not have it.
Last 2 weekends, I mean, with the exception of Dolander for LSU, watching Burns and Dolander the last few SEC series, I mean, let's just be honest, it's been abysmal, right? It's been terrible. I mean, Dolander has a 4.19 ERA, only 4-3 in the season. Burns has a 6.1 ERA, which is insanely high, and it's 2-3 this season as well. Drew Beam's the only guy that is under that 3 mark, 4-1 this season, and he's been damn good the last Sunday, especially against Florida last Sunday and against LSU too. Would y'all make that switch of Drew Beam being your one guy?
No. But at the same time,
hell no.
No.
Hell no.
Ain't no way. But at the same time, I'm gonna give the credit to Drew Beam, man, because the way he changed his body, like, you can see the increase in power is right there. And when it starts getting warmer now, like it is, in April, May, June, like, this guy's gonna be throwing even harder, like 2 or 3 miles an hour faster than he has been. He's been hitting 97. So when you think about all the pitchers being in that 100 range, by the 5th, 6th inning, like, that's kind of insane to see that rotation. Obviously, Dolander and Burns are the 2 guys that, had that first round tag on them coming back this year. I think they had a lot to prove, and it goes back to what we said with Rob. Like, a lot of people looked forward to playing against Chase Burns and Chase Dolander, man. Like, they wanted to play against his best pitchers and go out there and make a name. And you're seeing that. But at the same time, I think there's a lot to do better that's not just on the pitchers. Like, when Burns should have been pulled,
sucks ass, man.
When Burns should have been pulled a few games ago, man. But the next pitch, when everyone was like, okay, pull him there. And what happened? Guy went oppo for yard against him, man. Like, I think it's just kind of the right thing. Like, you're never gonna really know or have the right feeling of when to pull somebody or leave him in there. But man, when it happens where, like, he's getting hit oppo and giving up 2-3 home runs straight, like, that's just not Chase Burns.
that might have to correlate back to like Tony Vitello. And listen, this is maybe the only critique I have about
Anderson.
Vitello, but that staff gives way too much confidence in its players to know when it's the right time to pull them out. Because, I mean, the Notre Dame Super Regional in Game 3 should have, done the pitching change over there in 7th inning.
As soon as he hit that home run foul, you should have pulled his ass
1,000%.
right there. You should have pulled him right then and there.
1,000%. He should have pulled Burns after 2 innings over last Saturday. He gave up 7 and 3. This is not like a disrespect thing towards Tony V. He's the best coach we ever had for baseball. It's not even close.
Sure.
But he gives way too much confidence in his players, and I think by the time he realizes that he needs to pull them out and make a change, it's far too late.
And it's good criticism. Like we talked about, Joe earlier, wasn't ripping Joe, not ripping Tony V. But it's like good criticism to have of seeing like what happened last year. Obviously, you can't expect last year results in a crazy year like this, especially the best baseball team arguably of all time. But I know that Logan Quinton, if he's listening to this live or going back to the back end, he's just cringing at us, making excuses because he understands that these guys are just having like a 1 or 2 series fall through. I think I want to see how they do this week and going into Fayetteville playing against Arkansas, a really, really good Arkansas team on the road. I'm pissed that game's not in Knoxville. The one time I'm in Knoxville, for the orange and white game in the series isn't that weekend. I feel like that would be like the ultimate block party, having the whole mood there. And I think that would be something this baseball team needs is a full rowdy Lindsey Nelson Stadium. But at the same time, I think it's a good series to go and bounce back on the road, go into someone else's trap, try to win that, especially what Florida came into Knoxville and did to us. And then you come back and you have a real personal one that no matter who you are, where you're from, what you believe in, when you play Vanderbilt in baseball, especially after the last few years, what happened last year in Nashville, I think that's a series. This has to be personal. You better go out there and ride for your coach. Remember what Jeff Mashes did to Tony V and the whole Corbett offseason thing with Maui Ohana, everything that led up to that. I'm just super looking forward to that. You can't look past Arkansas, of course, but I think if you win that series, come back home, play against Vanderbilt next week, and win that series, like you're talking about, not even remembering how this season started until the semis.
I know, but dude, expecting us to win 2 out of 3 against Arkansas this weekend is a tall order, dude. I mean, that's a good team. And not to mention, Dave Van Horn hates Tony V.
I know he hates Tony Vitello because Tony.
So you know damn well that he's going to bring his all for his guys to play Tennessee this weekend. That. He's probably had that game circled on.
Why does he hate him so much, Brando?
I mean, look at Tony V and tell me why you wouldn't hate it, man. If I didn't have a direct love for Tony Vitello and I knew as another man in a competition with Tony Vitello, I'd just be like, yeah, I lost, man. Especially if you're Dave Van Horn, man. If you look over there at Tony V and you're over there in the Pine Bluffs of Arkansas out there recruiting, and someone
I'm gonna tell you what the problem is.
So a girl you have an eye on might not have an eye for you.
The problem is Tony Vitello is a very young coach, but Tony Vitello carries himself as if he is, on Tim Corbin's level or on Dave Van Horn's level. And that's what they don't like about it, but I love it. Tony is himself. Yes, he's a younger guy, but he carries himself like, you going to respect me. I'm a damn good baseball coach. I'm going anywhere I want to go, and I'm going to take any player I want to take. And if you don't like it, hate me or love me. Beat me. I don't care.
Look at my 2024
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Bro, Tony V is the man in the streets, bro, and they don't like it. And he is himself, and he's not changing for nobody. Mm-hmm. And that is what I respect about Tony V more than anything, because people want him to change who he is because of an image. No, bro, be yourself. That is why Bob Knight, to me, psycho coach, but one of the greatest coaches of all time, because he didn't care who you were. He didn't care what anyone outside of his program had to say about him. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made him such a good coach. And I think Tony V has that same mindset, and it's good for him. People don't like it, but they can get over it. A
lot of people that don't like Tony Vitello, they got to realize that you need Tony Vitello a whole lot more. You need, the good to hope from Tony Vitello a whole lot more than he needs you or needs to care about you, man. Because that guy has that dog in him. He's done, turning this program around in, 5-6 seasons, which is absolutely crazy to even think about, talking about Tennessee baseball as a standpoint topic on the show. And then to look at the 2024 class that we keep talking about on every single site, that he's got those kids to lock in. Even after this year, man, you're getting a whole new generation of Tennessee baseball, all the new the new construction, everything else going on. Like, I would hate Tony Vitello too if I was on a different side of a different fan base, man. But damn, we got our guy, a guy that goes up there and rocks with the same damn energy with us. Like, I'm okay with losing, knowing that my coach is out there giving it his all, going crazy. And I think that's going to bounce back here in 2 weeks, even this weekend, man. I think it's something to bounce back on. But I also want to just kind of cover that before we kind of ended it off, because it's no point to freak out about it, man. This is baseball. We had the best team in the history of the sport in college baseball last year. Like, you got to understand that you're not going to go out there and see 5 or 6 homers in the same top of the first inning. Like, you're not going to see Tennessee jump on that lead. But you are going to see some dog fights, and I think that's where we kind of jump in, be a Lindsey Nelson, be loud, and just don't give up on this team, man, because this team has a lot of potential. And there's, come, April, July, whatever, this team's going to be locked in. They're going to be ready to go. So nothing, worried about that. Do y'all have any final comments on the baseball side?
I mean, it's just baseball's a long season, and I think people just need to realize that we're playing in the hardest conference in college baseball. It's not even close. So, like, you're going to get great competition, week in, week out, and there's no like off week when in terms of competition too when you're playing in this conference. So, I think people just need to take a deep breath, realize it's going to be all right, and look, I mean, as long as you make the tournament, anything can happen. I mean, Mississippi State won it a couple of years ago. Ole Miss won it last year. Both of them are absolutely terrible now, but they managed to make it happen once they got.
Yeah, I mean, look at Mississippi State and Ole Miss, man. They're fucking dog.
Woo! That got disrespectful fast, like the Matrix.
All right.
Lord.
Obviously, this weekend we're going to be cheering on the Vols as they go down to Fayetteville, play in Arkansas. But also on Saturday, everyone at 2:30 is going to have on SEC Network turned on the orange and white game. And just a lot to look forward to that as we kind of wind down. Final notes on that, I wanted to throw out that, Tennessee last night released their season ticket total so far for the 2023 year, a 96% renewal rate so far. Total sold at 70,255. New season tickets sold at 8,996, damn near 9,000. Just the overall numbers, man. Like, there's less than 300 season tickets remaining, and they're probably like on opposite sides of the field from each other. So if you're trying to get those, good luck. This stadium is going to be sold out every single week that we're here for the Georgia game, which already got voted the most intimidating game for next year. People are looking forward to being able to host Texas A&M, a lot more. Just kind of thinking about that. We're going to see this Saturday, though. What do y'all want to go in? What do y'all want to see as we kind of finally close this week's episode? For me, it's just, no step backs. You can't take a lot from the spring game, because if we're going to take a lot from the spring game, I want to be like Jack Jansick's our wide receiver 1 last year. So obviously can't expect a lot, but I want to see these freshmen, man. I want to see this 2023 class just go crazy. And if you see those guys have that bright spot, I just want to see them on the field. That's for me, at least. See these guys, these new guys on the field in this kind of new little blueprint.
This spring game, it's a great event for the fans to be able to see the team, especially, when we still have about 4 months of football left before the season starts. But it's just a glorified scrimmage, man. My main thing is no injuries. Just no one gets injured. I mean, as long as we can leave injury-free, like no starters, no backups, even third stringers, nothing happens, nothing serious.
Yeah.
That's a win in my opinion. So just go injury-free, make a couple highlights, and then just get ready for Virginia in September.
Hey, get ready to blow the doors off Virginia and Nashville, baby.
Yeah, we got to
blow the doors off, because they're gonna come out motivated and ready to play because of what happened last season. But I think Tennessee gonna take their spirit real fast. I do. I think before we look up, before the second quarter start, it's gonna be like 28-3. I really do. I think Tennessee is about to hammer Virginia, bro. I really do. Like, Virginia was really, really bad last season, bro. Like,
and they lost their star. Brendan Armstrong got up and left.
Yes, bro. They were really, really bad last year, bro.
Yeah, you got Tony Elliott as the head man.
I just don't see them coming to Nashville and not getting beat by 40. I just don't see it. Like, I think Tennessee beats them down like they're an FCS school. I really do.
That might be a game too that like even like Danny White's going to take personally, because I think a lot of people forget Tony Elliott. If I'm not mistaken, he declined the job before even Danny offered Heupel. It was surprising one bit if Danny goes over to Heupel and be like, "Hey, I need you to drop 75 on this guy right now."
Get extra $100K.
He's like, "I want mercy rule right now." So, Whatever the spread
Especially how
is
it
for
ended
that
last
game,
time in
I'm going to
Nashville.
put at least $100 on it for sure because that's free money.
I think it's going to be
I
a
think
blowout.
this team's not even going to be one. Well, they're going to be thinking about Virginia. They're going to want to take care of Virginia. But what happened the last time they played in Nashville? How that ended? What all happened? I think all around, like it's going to be a good experience this time around. No goal line being taken back. None of that stuff. No Jalen Wright. Just all happy vibes. I think we go out there, take care of business. But that's a long ways away. Keep talking
If I'm
about
Josh
September.
Heupel, I take a page out of Kirby Smart's book. You better start preparing for Georgia and Alabama right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. I'm not saying don't put any other team on the back burner. I'm just saying Georgia started preparing for Tennessee last spring.
Hey, man.
Tennessee better take a page out of his book and do the same for real.
And shit, I mean, this time it's in Neyland, 100,000 in our advantage. So a lot to look forward to for that week. But just especially, man, breaking it all down after this Saturday, the orange and white game, it's just full on go, getting ready for the season. Because after that, it's just nothing like you just got straight waiting time, and that's all it's gonna be talking about is Josh Heupel recruiting, who's winning that what, who's starting up what, who's flashing where. So a lot to look forward to with that, and I think we're gonna have more of an idea of who's gonna be that dog this year. And it's finally good to have a team where like you look at basketball, look at football respectfully, and we have not been able to find that dog. I think there's just no way with all the recruiting, everyone we brought in from last year to this year, going into next year, like we're gonna have a bunch of new dogs on the field, and I'm just kind of excited to see that, see who our dogs are. Like you said, Drew, man, just go out there, have fun, no injuries, stay healthy, but also give us something to be hype about. And I think you're gonna have this fan base ready to go week 1 when it's against Virginia, and then week 2 opening up at home against Austin Peay. No matter even if it's Austin Peay or Virginia, we're gonna sell out both stadiums. I'm just kind of hype about that. So that's 2 free doves, man. Shit.
I'd like to, for future reference, I would like for us to at least play a little bit more respectable teams at home. Granted, we are playing UTSA, which is a good team. I mean, but if we're out of conference, though, I mean, come on, dude. Like, Austin Peay,
it's going to make me sick to say this, but I'm going to take and say it, watch my mouth out what's up after. I agree with Hugh Freeze.
Oh, with the spring game?
Playing UAB. Give me Austin Peay. No?
Rob. Why?
Give me like Tuscaloosa College University.
Yeah, exactly.
Ball State Community College.
No.
I agree though, because then you're gonna have a team like Akron that just hates you, that's gonna come out there and start twisting the ankles, and you're not gonna see the rest of the field. So
bingo. 1. Number 2. Do you hear Nick Saban talking about it? Yes or no? Have you heard Nick Saban say a word about it?
Well,
all I heard Nick Saban say is that Tony Mitchell's at the wrong place at the
wrong
time.
No. Yes or no question. Have you heard Nick Saban say anything about it? Yes or no?
No, because he's worried about his players getting arrested.
The answer is no. So it's not going to happen. Until Nick Saban comes out and says it should be a thing, it's not going to be a thing. Nick Saban runs college football. If he doesn't want it, it's not going to happen.
Man. You know what else Nick Saban wanted that he's not going to have? Arian Carter. Boom.
That's fair. But when it comes to something like this, it's not going to happen if Nick Saban don't want that. He runs college football, man. Come on now. Let's be honest here. The man gets anything and everything he wants.
It holds no weight and no value, obviously, because this game means nothing. Ending the show off, Drew, Rob, spring game MVP. Who do you got?
Deshaun Bishop.
Okay. Reasonable.
Let's say Dante Thornton.
I don't think he plays.
You don't think he plays?
I don't think so. He's been
I don't think he plays. He's been banged up all spring with a hamstring. I don't think he plays. I don't think he plays. I don't think Keaton plays.
Maybe Squirrel. I think Squirrel's played. He's been playing.
Squirrel was banged up last week. I don't think Squirrel plays.
Dante's like 6 feet taller than everybody.
I mean, at this point, I'll probably agree with Rob. Deshaun Bishop at this point. I mean, like
Deshaun Bishop,
3rd and 4th stringers out there anyway. So
or Nico.
Yeah, I'm gonna say definitely on the offensive side, Nico. But I think
it is an obvious choice, but it's a realistic choice too.
Yeah, but my pick on the defensive side, I was kind of thinking the defensive. I'm thinking either one, obviously Arian Carter, but my second guy that I think is going to show a lot of hype and a lot of good things is Jordan Matthews, the DB out of Baton Rouge. I think he's kind of been able to have that green light. You don't really see Willie Martinez and Tim Banks give true freshmen that much time and spotlight this early on. I think that's a guy that's come in spring ball workouts and is doing everything the right way. I want to see how early Jordan Matthews and Ricky Gibson get on the field, because it's not about if, it's about when they will get on the field so far. And I'm just kind of hyped to see that and see how good that this DB room really is, man, because you locked down one of the best defensive classes in a while. So really hyped to see about that. My sleeper pick that everyone forgets about, Tyree Weathersby, 4-star defensive lineman, man. I think that guy is a monster that no one even realizes. And I want to see, what he has to show his first 2 months on Rocky Top. A lot to look forward to. It's just crazy, man. This season never ends. And we started off depressed about basketball, optimistic about baseball flipping back, but the season never ends. Everything we have to be happy about. Josh Heupel and Tennessee football, man. It never gets old. And hopefully the next week, when we come back on the show, we'll have a bunch of new guys, a bunch of new stars in our minds, and a couple more commits that are going to hop into that 2024 class, because I think it's just going, man. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple go on the field after that orange and white game and commit to Josh Heupel in person. Drew, Rob, any closing statements before we end this one out?
Peace and love.
Yeah, man. Peace, love. Man, appreciate y'all for joining me. Glad to kind of do this whole show again. Glad to make Rob a full-blown member of the ATB crew. Gonna be with us every single week. Boy, you too good at that saluting.
Yeah, what I've been doing the last 4 years of my life. Every morning.
I'm a free man. All right. Be sure to tune in next Wednesday, man. A lot to break down. Super hype. If you're gonna be there, meet me at the Spire tailgate, Circle Park, or on top of G5 behind the ramp. We will be there with the full Vol Club Spire crew. Come have fun, have a few drinks, eat some good food, and learn more about Tennessee and NIL and signing up to the Vol Club. Drew, Rob, it's been a pleasure, my boys, and until next time, go Vols.
Peace.